The stars looked peaceful from the bridge of the eternal dawn. Commander Velthax watched them with his 4 eyes, feeling satisfied with another easy mission. His ship was huge, made of crystal that glowed in the darkness of space. Behind him, 50 more Zarathian warships waited for orders. They had done this 100 times before. Find a primitive planet, give them a choice to surrender, and then take control. Simple and clean. This time the target was a small blue planet called Earth. The creatures living there called themselves humans. Velthax had read the reports. These humans had just started exploring their own solar system. They had chemical rockets that moved slowly through space. Their weapons were crude missiles and bullets. They would surrender quickly, just like all the others. Send the message, Velthax ordered. His voice echoed through the bridge where dozens of crew members worked at their stations. The communications officer pressed several buttons. A message went out in all languages, including the primitive human tongues. This is the Zarathian Empire. You have been selected for incorporation into our civilization. Surrender now and you will be treated fairly. Resist and face destruction. You have 1 hour to respond. Velthax expected silence, then fear, then surrender. That was how it always went. The primitive species understood they had no choice. But this time was different. 30 minutes later, a message came back. A human voice spoke in broken galactic standard, the language all spacefaring species used. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered human space without permission. Leave now or face consequences. The bridge went silent. Then Velthax started laughing. His officers joined in. Consequences from them? These humans have courage, Velthax said, still amused. Or stupidity. Move the fleet forward. Let them see what real power looks like. The Zarathian ships began moving toward Earth. Their weapons charged, ready to demonstrate their superiority. Velthax expected the humans to panic now to beg for mercy. Instead, something appeared on their sensors. Commander, the sensor officer said, his voice uncertain. There is a ship approaching from behind their moon. Velthax looked at the display. A single vessel was moving toward them. It was big, much bigger than any ship the scouts had reported. The hull was dark gray, almost black, with strange angles and shapes covering its surface. What is that? Velthax asked. Unknown, Commander. The energy readings are impossible. That ship has more power than our entire fleet combined. That cannot be right. Check your equipment. I have checked 3 times, Commander. The readings are accurate. Velthax felt the first touch of worry. Something was wrong. The human ship marked as EDF Valiant began to move faster. Not with the slow burn of primitive engines, but with impossible speed. It accelerated like nothing Velthax had ever seen. Inside the Valiant, Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair. Around him, his crew worked calmly at their stations. Jake was a tall man with short brown hair and calm eyes. He had trained for this moment for 3 years, ever since Earth had discovered the alien ship buried in Antarctica and learned they were not alone in the universe. Sir, the alien fleet is moving forward, said Lieutenant Claire Bennett. She was his second in command, a woman with red hair tied back in a tight bun. Her fingers danced across her console. Good, Jake said quietly. Let them come closer. Lieutenant Peter Walsh, how are the shields? At full power, Captain, Peter replied from the engineering station. He was young, barely 25, but brilliant with the alien technology they had learned to use. We can take anything they throw at us. We are about to find out, Jake said. They are powering weapons. On the eternal dawn, Velthax made his decision. All ships fire on that vessel. Destroy it. Energy weapons lit up the darkness of space. Plasma bolts, each one powerful enough to destroy a city, raced toward the Valiant. Missiles followed, carrying warheads that could crack open asteroids. The barrage was overwhelming, designed to eliminate any threat instantly. Velthax watched the impacts on his screen. Surely nothing could survive that assault. But when the light faded, the human ship was still there. Its shields glowed briefly, then returned to normal. Not even a scratch. Report, Velthax demanded, his amusement completely gone. Direct hits confirmed, the weapons officer said, checking his console multiple times. But no damage detected. Their shields absorbed everything. How is that possible? I do not know, Commander. All ships maximum firepower. Concentrate fire on that single target. 50 warships unleashed everything they had. The space between the fleets became a storm of destructive energy. Enough firepower to sterilize a planet focused on one ship. The Valiant's shields flickered under the assault but held strong. Inside, alarms beeped as systems automatically adjusted power distribution. The crew remained calm. They had tested the shields. They knew what the ship could handle. Their entire fleet is firing at us, Claire reported. Then I suppose we should return the courtesy, Jake said. Sophie, target their lead ship. Fire when ready. Lieutenant Sophie Williams smiled at the weapons console. Targeting solution locked. Firing main cannon. The Valiant's primary weapon powered up. Energy gathered from the ship's incredible reactor. More power than most planets generated in a day. Then it released in a single coherent beam of pure destruction. The beam crossed the space between the ships in less than a second. It hit the leading Zerathian cruiser directly. The ship simply disappeared. No explosion, no debris, no escape pods. One moment it existed. The next moment there was only empty space. Velthak stared at his screen in disbelief. What happened? Where is the Skybreaker? Gone, Commander, the sensor officer whispered. Completely vaporized. That is impossible. Our ships have the best shields in the galaxy. Not anymore, someone muttered. The Valiant fired again. Another Zerathian ship vanished from existence. Then another. Each shot was perfectly aimed, perfectly timed, perfectly lethal. Evasive maneuvers, Velthak shouted. All ships scatter. But the human ship was faster than anything should be. It moved through space like a predator, its weapons tracking multiple targets. Smaller guns joined the main cannon, firing with perfect accuracy. Zerathian shields, which had protected against every weapon they had ever faced, collapsed under the assault. In 10 minutes, half of Velthax's fleet was gone. Retreat, Velthax ordered, his pride forgotten. All ships jump to faster-than-light travel immediately. The surviving Zerathian ships turned and ran. They activated their jump drives and disappeared from the Sol system, leaving behind the wreckage of their companions and their shattered confidence. On the Valiant, Jake watched them go. Cease fire, he ordered. Let them escape. Sir, we could destroy them all, Claire said. That is not the point, Lieutenant. We want them to run. We want them to tell everyone what happened here. Fear is our best weapon now. Jake stood and walked to the main viewport. Earth hung in the distance, beautiful and blue. They had protected it today, but he knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had just learned that humans existed, and that they were not easy prey. The real question was what would happen when the aliens came back with more ships, more weapons, more determination. The Valiant was powerful, but it was alone, and Jake knew that one ship, no matter how advanced, could not hold off an entire galaxy forever. Part 2 Commander Velthax sat alone in his quarters aboard the Eternal Dawn. His hands shook as he prepared the report for Imperial Command. How could he explain what happened? His fleet, proud and powerful, had been destroyed by a single enemy ship. No one would believe him, but he had the recordings. Every sensor, every camera had captured the impossible. The human ship that moved faster than physics allowed. The weapons that erased matter from existence. The shields that laughed at the Empire's best firepower. He sent the message and waited. 3 hours later, a response came. Admiral Krethix appeared on his screen, the supreme commander of all Imperial forces. His face showed anger and disbelief. You lost 25 ships to one primitive vessel? Krethix demanded. Explain this failure, Commander. Admiral, I know how this sounds, Velthax said carefully. But you must review the recordings. The humans have technology beyond anything in our databases. That ship violated every law of physics we know. We hit it with enough firepower to destroy a moon. It did not even slow down. Impossible. Our intelligence confirmed these humans barely reached their own planets. Then our intelligence was wrong, Admiral. Or the humans have been hiding their true strength. That ship was not primitive. It was the most advanced vessel I have ever seen. Admiral Krethix was quiet for a long moment, watching the battle recordings. Velthax could see the doubt on his face slowly changing to concern. How many ships did they have? Krethix asked. We only saw one, Admiral. But if they have more like it... Velthax did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. I will bring this to the Emperor. Return to base, Commander. We need to reconsider our approach to these humans. Back on Earth, Captain Jake Morrison walked through the corridors of Luna Command, the military base hidden beneath the surface of the moon. Officers saluted as he passed. Everyone had heard about the battle. Everyone wanted to shake the hand of the man who had driven away an alien invasion, but Jake felt no pride, only worry. He entered the main briefing room where President Ellen Carter waited with the military leadership. The president was a woman in her 50s with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Captain Morrison," she greeted him with a smile, "you have given humanity its first victory against an alien threat." "Well done. Thank you, Madam President, but they will be back." "We know," said General Richard Hayes, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He was an old soldier with medals covering his uniform. "Our question is how long we have and how many will come." Jake looked at the star map displayed on the main screen. "The Zarathian Empire controls 200 star systems. Intelligence suggests they have more than 10,000 warships. We showed them one ship. They will want to know if we have more." "Do we?" asked Admiral Lisa Grant, commander of the Earth Defense Force. "No," said Lieutenant Commander Danny Foster, the Valiant's chief engineer. He had accompanied Jake to the briefing. "The Valiant is unique. We have 5 more ships under construction, but they will not be ready for at least 6 months. 6 months, President Carter repeated. "And if the aliens return before then?" "Then we bluff," Jake said simply. "We make them think the Valiant is just one ship in a much larger fleet. We use misdirection, false sensor readings, anything to convince them that attacking Earth would be suicide." "Can that work?" Admiral Grant asked. Danny stepped forward, pulling up a hologram from his tablet. "We have been working on this. We can build drone ships, hollow vessels with powerful transmitters. From a distance, they will look like real warships. Their energy signatures will match the Valiant. The aliens will think they are facing a fleet." "How many can you build?" General Hayes asked. "With our current resources, maybe 300 small drones, 30 larger ones. Enough to make it look like we have a serious defense force." President Carter nodded slowly. "Make it happen. Captain Morrison, the Valiant is now our most important asset." "Where is she now?" "In orbit around Mars, recharging. The battle drained 40% of our power reserves. We need 3 days to fully recover." "And they do not know that," the president said, understanding. "They think you are always at full power." "Exactly. That is why we let them run. We wanted them to spread the word about what happened. Fear will buy us time." On Zarathon Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Empire, Emperor Zathros summoned his war council. The throne room was massive, with walls of crystal that reflected light in rainbow patterns. Hundreds of advisors, generals, and scientists gathered to discuss the human problem. "Show me," the Emperor commanded. The holographic display activated, showing the battle from multiple angles. The assembled crowd watched in silence as the human ship destroyed Zarathian vessels with ease. When the recording ended, no one spoke. "How is this possible?" Emperor Zathros asked. His voice was quiet, but everyone heard the danger in it. "We have conquered this galaxy for 3,000 years. We have assimilated the technology of 400 species. And now you tell me that a species we thought primitive has weapons superior to ours?" "Your Majesty," Science Minister Drathel stepped forward. He was old even by Zarathian standards, his scales pale with age. "I have analyzed the energy readings from this battle. The human ship uses power generation technology we cannot identify. Their reactor output suggests they have mastered zero-point energy or perhaps something even more advanced." "Speak plainly, Minister." "They have technology we do not possess, Your Majesty. Technology that may be beyond our ability to develop." Angry murmurs spread through the throne room. The idea that any species could surpass the Zarathian Empire was almost heresy. "Then we must have that technology," the Emperor declared. "War Marshal Prethon, you will assemble a battle group. Not a small subjugation force, but a real war fleet. I want overwhelming power." War Marshal Prethon bowed. "How many ships, Your Majesty?" 20 dreadnoughts, 50 cruisers, 200 destroyers. And Admiral Krethix will command them personally. If the humans have one advanced ship, we will bring 300. Let us see how they fare against true Imperial might." "Your Majesty, that is 1/5 of our entire navy," someone objected. "Exactly," the Emperor said coldly. "We do not know what we face. We will not underestimate them again. Admiral Krethix, you will observe and record everything. Their weapons, their tactics, their capabilities. If we must sacrifice ships to learn their secrets, so be it. But we will learn," Admiral Krethix saluted. "As you command, Your Majesty. But may I suggest an alternative approach? Perhaps we should attempt communication first. If these humans have such technology, maybe they acquired it from someone else. Maybe there is a bigger power behind them." The Emperor considered this. "An interesting thought." "Very well, Admiral. You may attempt communication before engaging, but be ready for battle. The Empire's honor must be restored. 3 weeks passed. During that time, Earth transformed. Every shipyard worked around the clock. The drone fleet took shape. Hundreds of fake warships designed to deceive enemy sensors. The real ships under construction progressed faster than ever, with workers pulling double shifts. Jake spent his time training the Valiant's crew for the next encounter. They ran simulations, practiced maneuvers, and studied every piece of data they had on Zerathian technology. They will come back smarter, he told his officers during a briefing. They will not charge in blindly this time. They will probe our defenses, look for weaknesses. Then we show them strength, Claire said. We make every move count. And we pray our bluff holds, Peter added quietly. On the 22nd day, the sensors detected it. Multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Not 50 ships this time, hundreds. Admiral Grant, Jake called from the Valiant's bridge. They are here. And they brought friends. Part 3 Admiral Krethix stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Vengeance of Stars. Around his ship, the largest Zerathian battle fleet in decades spread across space like a metal storm. 20 massive dreadnoughts, each one capable of destroying planets, 50 cruisers bristling with weapons, 200 smaller destroyers for support. This was not a subjugation force. This was an army. Deploy all sensor drones, Krethix ordered. I want complete information on every human ship in this system. Science teams record everything. The sensor officer worked at his console, then suddenly stopped. His face showed confusion and fear. Admiral, the readings are. You need to see this. Krethix looked at the tactical display and felt his confidence crack. The screen showed contacts throughout the entire Sol system. Human ships everywhere. Near Earth, around Mars, in the asteroid belt, near the gas giants. Dozens of vessels, all showing energy signatures similar to the one that had destroyed Velthax's fleet. How many? Krethix asked quietly. 37 capital ships confirmed, Admiral. Over 200 smaller vessels. They have built an entire fleet. In 3 weeks? That is impossible. Nevertheless, Admiral, the contacts are there. The energy signatures match the original threat profile. Krethix had fought in 50 battles during his long career. He had faced desperate enemies and clever traps. Something about this felt wrong. Too convenient, too perfect. Maintain position, he ordered. Send forward a scout group, 10 destroyers. Let them test the human response. What Admiral Krethix did not know was that most of those contacts were Danny Foster's drones. Simple constructions with powerful transmitters, designed to fool sensors from a distance. They had no weapons, no shields, no real capabilities at all. They were ghosts meant to scare. The real Valiant waited in the shadow of Jupiter, fully charged and ready. Jake watched the alien fleet on his screen, counting the ships. His heart sank. Even with all their tricks, those numbers were overwhelming. That is a lot of ships, Claire said quietly beside him. Yes, Jake agreed. But they are hesitating. They see our drones and they are afraid. The drones will not fool them forever. They do not need to fool them forever. Just long enough. Lieutenant Sophie Williams spoke from the weapons station. Captain, 10 enemy destroyers are moving forward. They are approaching the drone cluster near the asteroid belt. Activate those drones, Jake ordered. Make them look like they are preparing to fight. And get ready to move. When those destroyers get close enough to realize the drones are fake, we hit them hard. Danny Foster worked frantically at his engineering console. Activating drones now. Their transmitters are powering up to maximum. To the aliens, it will look like our ships are charging weapons. On the Vengeance of Stars, alarms began sounding. Admiral, multiple human vessels are powering their weapon systems. Energy readings match the destructive capacity we saw before. Krethix felt sweat forming on his scales. If every one of those ships could fight like the first one, his fleet stood no chance. Recall the scout group. All ships, defensive formation, shields to maximum. But the 10 destroyers had already committed to their approach. They moved closer to the human ships in the asteroid belt, weapons ready. Their captains expected a fight, expected to test the enemy's strength. Instead, they found floating metal shells with transmitters. Admiral, the lead destroyer captain reported, these ships are decoys. They have no weapons, no real power systems. They are tricks. Pull back immediately, Krethix ordered. But he was too late. The Valiant emerged from Jupiter's shadow, moving at impossible speed. One moment it was millions of kilometers away, the next it was among the destroyers. Jake sat forward in his command chair. Sophie, take out the lead ships fast and clean. The Valiant's main cannon fired 3 times in rapid succession. 3 Zarathian destroyers vanished from existence. The remaining 7 scattered, trying to run, but the human ship pursued with mechanical precision. Its secondary weapons blazed, smaller beams of energy that cut through Zarathian shields like paper. In 90 seconds, all 10 destroyers were gone. Target the flagship, Jake ordered. Show them we can reach anyone we want. The Valiant turned toward the massive dreadnought at the center of the Zarathian formation. Distance meant nothing to a ship that could cross solar systems in minutes. The main cannon charged, gathering enough energy to crack a moon. On the vengeance of stars, the tactical officer screamed a warning. The human ship is targeting us directly. Evasive maneuvers, Krethix shouted. All power to forward shields. The Valiant fired. The beam crossed the space between them in heartbeats. It struck the flagship's shields with tremendous force. For the first time since the war began, the Valiant's weapon did not completely penetrate. The dreadnought's shields were stronger, designed to withstand attacks from other capital ships. But the impact still made the entire vessel shudder. Systems flickered throughout the ship. Crew members were thrown from their stations. The shield display showed 40% capacity remaining from just 1 shot. Damage report, Krethix demanded, pulling himself back to his feet. Shields at 40%, Admiral. Hull integrity maintained. But another hit like that and we will be exposed. Krethix looked at his tactical display. The human ship that attacked them hung in space, seemingly waiting. Around it, the other human contacts remained stationary. Were they real or fake? He could not risk finding out. All ships, emergency withdrawal, Krethix ordered. Jump to faster than light immediately. Admiral, we still outnumber them. Did you not see what one ship just did? Krethix roared. It destroyed 10 destroyers in seconds and crippled our flagship with a single shot. If there are truly 37 more ships like that, this fleet will be destroyed. We retreat now and report what we learned. The Zarathian fleet executed an emergency jump, disappearing from the Sol system in flashes of light. They left behind nothing but the fading energy signatures of their destroyed destroyers. On the Valiant, the crew erupted in cheers. They had done it again, driven off an invasion fleet 300 times their size. But Jake watched the power display and did not celebrate. Danny, status report. We used 60% of our reserves, Captain. We need at least 4 days to recharge fully. If they had stayed, if they had pressed the attack. Danny did not finish the sentence. They did not, Claire said. We won. No, Jake corrected quietly. We survived, again. But how long can we keep doing this? How long before they realize the truth? Sophie turned from her station. Captain, we made them retreat with a fraction of their forces. They could have overwhelmed us with numbers, but they were too scared. Fear is working. Fear based on a lie, Jake said, and lies always get discovered eventually. He stood and walked to the main viewport, looking out at the distant alien ships as they vanished into faster-than-light travel. Somewhere out there, those aliens were reporting back to their empire. They were analyzing the battle, looking for patterns, searching for weaknesses. How long until the next attack, Claire asked. Weeks, maybe months, Jake guessed. They will want time to prepare, to build more ships, to develop new strategies. But they will come back, and next time they might not be so easily fooled. Then we use the time we have, Danny said. The other ships are ahead of schedule. In 4 months, the Defender will be ready. 2 months after that, the Guardian. We are building a real fleet, Captain. We just need to survive long enough to finish. Jake nodded slowly. That was the game now. Survive long enough. Bluff long enough. Make the galaxy believe Earth was protected by a mighty fleet until that fleet actually existed. Send a message to Luna Command, he ordered. Tell them we need more drones, better drones, and tell the shipyards to work faster. because the next fleet that comes here will not be so quick to run. As the Valiant turned back toward Earth, Jake thought about the impossible situation they faced. One ship against an entire galaxy, one lie protecting an entire planet. It was insane. It should not work. But somehow, it was working. For now. Part 4. The throne room of Emperor Zathros fell completely silent as the recordings finished playing. 300 of the most powerful beings in the Zarathian Empire had just watched their mighty fleet run away from a single enemy ship. The shame was visible on every face. "Explain this to me," the Emperor said, his voice dangerously quiet. "We sent 300 warships. We lost 10, and we retreated." Admiral Krethix stood before the throne, knowing his career and possibly his life depended on his next words. "Your Majesty, the tactical situation was impossible. The humans displayed multiple vessels throughout their system. We could not risk engaging an enemy of unknown size with superior technology." "Superior technology," the Emperor repeated. "Science Minister Drathel, your analysis." The old scientist stepped forward, projecting a hologram. "Your Majesty, I have studied both engagements carefully. Something does not make sense. The humans claim to be a primitive species that only recently achieved space travel, yet they possess technology that surpasses our own by what appears to be centuries. What are you suggesting?" "That they are lying, Your Majesty, about something. Perhaps about their origins, perhaps about their capabilities. But I believe we are being deceived." "Deceived how?" "I do not know yet. But consider this. Our economic intelligence suggests Earth's industrial capacity could not build such a fleet in mere months. Where did these ships come from? How did the humans acquire such technology?" Emperor Zathros leaned forward on his throne. "You think they have help? From another power?" "It is possible, Your Majesty. Or perhaps they have been hiding their true strength for longer than we know. Either way, I recommend caution." "Caution," the Emperor said bitterly. "The Zarathian Empire does not show caution. We show strength." "But perhaps you are right, Minister. Perhaps we need more information before committing our full forces." War Marshal Prethon spoke up. "Your Majesty, may I suggest a different approach? Instead of sending warriors, send a diplomat. Let us talk to these humans. Learn their secrets through conversation rather than battle." The throne room erupted in angry voices. Diplomacy was seen as weakness by many in the imperial court. But the Emperor raised his hand for silence. "An interesting idea, War Marshal. Very well. We will send Ambassador Vrethus. He is skilled at reading other species, at uncovering their secrets. And while he talks, our scientists will analyze everything we have learned. If the humans are deceiving us, we will discover how." On Earth, 3 months had passed since the second battle. In that time, humanity had worked harder than ever before. The shipyards around the moon ran day and night. New crews trained on simulators. Scientists studied every piece of alien technology they had recovered. Dr. Helen Price walked through the secure facility in Antarctica where it all began. 20 years ago, explorers had found a crashed alien ship buried in the ice. Not Zarathian, but something else, something unknown. The ship had been damaged beyond repair, but its technology was intact. That discovery had changed everything. "We have made real progress," she told President Carter during a secure video call. "We now understand the principles behind the power generation. We can build more reactors like the one in the Valiant." "How many more ships can we build?" President Carter asked. "One every 6 months with current resources. But if we expand production, if we dedicate more facilities to this, we could potentially have 10 ships within 3 years. 3 years. And how many ships does the Zarathian Empire have?" "Over 10,000, Madam President." The President was quiet for a moment. "So even if everything goes perfectly, we will still be outnumbered 1,000 to 1. "Yes, but our ships are more advanced. In a one-on-one fight, we win every time." "The problem is they will never give us a one-on-one fight," President Carter said. "They will come with overwhelming numbers eventually." "Which is why we need to maintain the deception," Dr. Price agreed. "Make them believe attacking Earth would cost more than it is worth." The conversation was interrupted by an urgent message. A Zarathian ship had entered the Sol system. But this time it was not a warship. It was a diplomatic vessel, broadcasting messages of peace on all channels. President Carter immediately called an emergency meeting. Jake was summoned from the Valiant, which was undergoing maintenance near Mars. General Hayes, Admiral Grant, and key members of the government gathered in the Situation Room beneath Washington. "They want to talk," President Carter said, looking at the message displayed on the screen. Ambassador Vrethis requests permission to meet with human leadership. It is a trap, General Hayes said immediately. They want to get close, study us, find our weaknesses. Probably, Jake agreed. But it is also an opportunity. If we refuse to meet, they will know we are hiding something. If we meet them, we can continue the deception. What deception exactly? Admiral Grant asked. What do we tell them? President Carter smiled slightly. The truth. Or rather, a version of it that serves our purposes. Captain Morrison, you will meet with this ambassador. Aboard the Valiant. Show him our ship, let him see our crew, make him believe we are far more advanced than we really are. And if he asks questions I cannot answer, then you lie, Captain. You lie to protect Earth. You make them believe we are not some lucky primitives with one advanced ship, but representatives of a power they should fear. 3 days later, the Zarathian diplomatic ship docked with the Valiant. Ambassador Vrethis emerged, flanked by 2 guards and a science officer. He was smaller than the warriors Jake had seen before, with lighter-colored scales and more intelligent eyes. Jake met him in the docking bay with Claire and Peter. The ambassador looked around with obvious interest, studying every detail of the human ship. Welcome to the Valiant, Jake said in perfect galactic standard. He had been taking language lessons for 3 months. I am Captain Jake Morrison. Ambassador Vrethis of the Zarathian Empire, the alien replied. His voice was smoother than the warriors, more cultured. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting. Your ship is quite impressive. This ship is old by our standards, Jake lied smoothly. But it serves its purpose. The ambassador's eyes widened slightly at that comment. Jake saw the calculation happening behind those alien eyes. If this powerful ship was considered old, what did the new ones look like? They walked through the corridors of the Valiant toward the conference room. Along the way, Vrethis observed everything. The human crew working efficiently at their stations. The technology that seemed both familiar and alien. The confidence in everyone's movements. In the conference room, President Carter appeared via hologram. Ambassador Vrethis, she greeted. Welcome to human space, President Carter. I bring greetings from Emperor Zathros and the Zarathian Empire. We wish to discuss terms of peace and understanding between our peoples. You mean you want to know if you can defeat us? Jake said bluntly. Vrethis' mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Direct. Very well, I shall be equally direct. The Empire has ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years. We have encountered hundreds of species. None have demonstrated technology like yours. We wish to understand where humanity acquired such capabilities. This was the crucial moment. The lie that could save them or doom them. President Carter spoke with complete confidence. We developed it ourselves, Ambassador. Over centuries of careful research. Humanity has been exploring this galaxy far longer than you realize. We simply preferred to remain hidden to observe rather than interfere. Hidden? Vrethis asked. Why? Because we value peace, Jake added. We watched the Zarathian Empire expand, conquering species after species. We saw no benefit in revealing ourselves. We were content to remain in the shadows. Until we threatened your homeworld. Until you made it necessary for us to act, President Carter corrected. Earth is just one of many human colonies, Ambassador. But it is our historical homeworld. We will defend it. Many colonies? Vrethis leaned forward. How many ships do you have? Enough, Jake said. The fleet you faced was a small defensive force. We have much larger formations stationed throughout this region of space. It was all lies. Every word. But Jake spoke with such conviction that even he almost believed it. Beside him, Claire and Peter maintained perfectly calm expressions, backing up the deception with their silence. Vrethis studied them carefully. His science officer worked at a handheld device scanning the room, the ship, everything. Jake knew they were looking for evidence of deception, for proof that the humans were bluffing. The Empire would like to propose a treaty, Vrethis finally said. Recognition of human sovereignty over your claimed territories. In exchange, we request non-aggression and possibly technological exchange. We will consider your proposal, President Carter replied. But understand this, Ambassador. We do not fear the Zarathian Empire. We remained hidden by choice, not from weakness. If you force us to reveal our full strength, you will regret it. The meeting continued for another hour, with both sides probing carefully, asking questions, seeking advantages. Throughout it all, Jake maintained the performance. He was not a desperate human defending his homeworld with one lucky ship. He was a representative of a vast ancient civilization that had been watching the galaxy for centuries. When Vrethis finally left, Jake slumped in his chair, exhausted from the mental effort of maintaining the lie. Part 5 Ambassador Vrethis returned to Zarathon Prime with more questions than answers. He stood before Emperor Zathros and the assembled War Council, presenting his findings carefully. Every word mattered. Every observation could determine the future of the Empire's relationship with humanity. Your Majesty, I have spoken with the human leaders and toured their primary warship, Vrethis began. My conclusions are complex. The humans are either exactly what they claim to be, or they are the most skilled deceivers in the galaxy. Which do you believe? The Emperor asked. I believe they are hiding something, Your Majesty, but I cannot prove what. Their ship is genuine. The technology is real. The crew's confidence is not an act. Yet something about their story does not fit together perfectly. Science Minister Drathel stepped forward. I have analyzed the sensor data from Ambassador Vrethis' visit. The human ship uses technology I cannot fully explain. However, I noticed something interesting. While they claim to have many such ships, we have only ever seen one in actual combat. All other contacts were at long range. The drone ships, Admiral Krethik said suddenly. You think most of their fleet is false? I think it is possible. But the question remains, how many real ships do they have? 1, 10, 100? Without knowing for certain, any attack risks catastrophic losses. Emperor Zathros rose from his throne and walked to the window overlooking his capital city. Billions of Zarathians lived under his rule. Trillions more across the Empire depended on his wisdom. He could not risk them all on an uncertain war. We will accept their treaty, he decided. For now. We recognize their sovereignty over the Sol system and surrounding space. But we will watch them. We will gather intelligence, and if we discover they are weaker than they claim, then we will strike with our full might. Your Majesty, this sets a dangerous precedent, War Marshal Prethon objected. If other species learn that the Empire can be frightened away. The Empire is not frightened, Zathros said coldly. The Empire is being wise. We do not fight battles we cannot win, at least not until we understand what we face. 6 months passed. The treaty between the Zarathian Empire and humanity held. No warships crossed the borders. No attacks occurred. Trade negotiations began, though neither side shared their most valuable technologies. For humanity, those 6 months were frantic. Every resource went into building more ships. The Defender launched, joining the Valiant as the second true warship. The Guardian followed 3 months later. More ships were under construction in orbital yards that grew larger every day. Jake stood on the bridge of the Valiant, watching the Defender conduct training exercises near Jupiter. The new ship moved through space with the same impossible grace as his own vessel. Its captain, Commander Greg Palmer, was proving to be excellent. A third ship meant they could defend multiple locations at once. It meant they were no longer desperately alone. How does it feel to not be unique anymore? Claire asked, joining him at the viewport. It feels like hope, Jake replied. 3 ships is not a fleet, but it is a start. The Zarathians have been quiet. Too quiet, maybe. They are watching us, learning, trying to figure out if we are real or fake. Jake smiled slightly. So we keep building, keep training, keep making them believe. In Luna Command, President Carter met with Dr. Helen Price to review their progress. The scientist had good news for once. We have made a breakthrough with the manufacturing process, Dr. Price explained, showing holographic displays of new construction techniques. We can now build ships faster. Instead of 1 every 6 months, we can produce 1 every 3 months, maybe faster if we expand more. How long until we have a real fleet? 20 ships, 50? 20 ships within 3 years, 50 within 6 years. But, Madam President, there is something else you should know. Dr. Price's expression turned serious. We have been analyzing the crashed ship we found in Antarctica. We know it is not Zarathian. Recently, we discovered something in its memory banks. Partial star maps, fragments of data about other species. Other species? There are more out there besides the Zarathians. Hundreds, according to these fragments. Maybe thousands. The Zarathian Empire is just one power among many, and some of the others are much older, much more advanced. President Carter absorbed this information, So we have been playing games with the Zarathians, but they are not even the biggest threat. Potentially. We do not know enough yet. But yes, the galaxy is far more crowded and dangerous than we thought. Then we build faster, work harder, because if the Zarathians eventually realize we have been bluffing, we need to be strong enough by then that it does not matter. 2 years after the first contact, humanity had 12 warships. The Valiant had been joined by the Defender, the Guardian, the Sentinel, the Champion, the Warrior, the Protector, the Liberator, the Avenger, the Justice, the Freedom, and the Victory. Each ship was assigned to a different strategic location throughout the Sol system. Together, they formed the core of Earth's true defense fleet. The Zarathians had continued observing from a distance. They sent diplomatic missions. They proposed trade agreements. They acted like peaceful neighbors. But everyone knew they were waiting for any sign of weakness. Jake, now promoted to Admiral and commander of the entire Earth Defense Force, gathered his captains for a meeting aboard the Valiant. 12 faces appeared on the holographic display, men and women who had trained for years to command humanity's most powerful weapons. The treaty has held for 2 years, Jake told them, but intelligence suggests the Zarathians are building up forces near our border. They may be preparing to test us again. Let them come, said Commander Greg Palmer of the Defender. We are not the same desperate humans they first encountered. We have a real fleet now. We do, Jake agreed, but they still outnumber us 1,000 to 1. We must remain smart, remain tactical. We cannot afford to lose a single ship. What about the other species Dr. Price discovered? Asked Commander Sarah Mitchell of the Guardian. Should we reach out to them? Not yet. We are still too weak, too new. For now, we focus on maintaining our position. We protect Earth, we build more ships, and we hope that when the truth finally comes out about how we started, we are strong enough that it does not matter anymore. The meeting continued, discussing tactics, strategies, and contingencies. But Jake's mind wandered to the bigger picture. Humanity had gone from being alone in the universe to being surrounded by potential threats. They had faced the Zarathian Empire with nothing but one ship and a clever bluff. That bluff had bought them time. That time had been used to build strength. But the game was not over. It was just beginning. 6 months later, the Zarathian Empire sent another fleet to the Sol system, not to attack, but to observe military exercises they claimed were routine. Admiral Krethix commanded from his flagship, watching as human ships maneuvered through space. He counted them carefully. 12 capital ships visible and active, dozens more contacts that might be real or might be decoys. After 2 years of observation, the Zarathians still could not determine humanity's true strength. What is your assessment, Admiral? The Emperor asked via secure communication. Your Majesty, they have at least 12 real warships. I cannot confirm more without risking another engagement. Each ship matches the capabilities we saw from the original. If they have more hidden elsewhere, a direct assault could be catastrophic. So we maintain the treaty. For now, yes, Your Majesty. But I recommend we continue building our forces. Eventually, we may outnumber them so completely that their technological advantage becomes irrelevant. Or we may develop countermeasures to their weapons. How long? 10 years, Your Majesty. Maybe 20. But eventually we will be ready. The Emperor considered this. The Zarathian Empire had ruled for 3,000 years. They could afford to be patient. Very well, Admiral. We will wait. On Earth, Jake stood in the White House with President Carter, watching the alien fleet conduct its exercises at the edge of the solar system. They are counting our ships, the President observed. Let them count, Jake said. Every ship they see is real now. We are not bluffing anymore. We are building the fleet we claim to have. But they are also building. Their intelligence services are excellent. Eventually, they will learn the truth about Antarctica, about the crashed ship, about how we really got this technology. Then we make sure that by the time they learn the truth, we are strong enough that it does not matter. We build until we have 100 ships, 1,000. Until humanity is truly safe, President Carter smiled. You really think we can do that? Go from one lucky find to a real galactic power? We already have, Jake said. Look what we accomplished in 2 years. We went from being invaded to holding our own against an empire that has conquered 200 worlds. We did that with one ship and a lot of courage. Imagine what we can do with time. He looked out at the stars, at the vast galaxy full of threats and opportunities. The Zarathian Empire had panicked when they saw what they thought was a human battleship. They had been terrified by the possibility that humans were more advanced than they appeared. The truth was both simpler and more complex. Humanity had stumbled onto alien technology and learned to use it faster than anyone expected. They had bluffed their way through first contact. They had lied and tricked and fought to buy time.